Welcome. We will call the March meeting of the Wood County Board of Supervisors to order. Ask the clerk to please take the roll. I believe he's probably done that already. Did you hear the mic? Can you hear this? Right. Looks like we're working on some technical issues.
Talk louder.
How's this?
There you go.
There you go.
All right. I didn't want to blow anybody away out there. All right, you all set, Trent?
Yep, go for it.
All right, then we would call Supervisor Zerflu forward for the invocation. I'd ask everyone to please rise for the invocation and then remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
I've always asked to play bingo after I give the invocation, and very few people show up, so today there'll be no bingo, okay? Just to let you know.
Hey, Father, I bought my water.
Please join in, if you wish, in the prayer by bowing your head. Our prayer is about wise decisions. Praise to you, Lord God, King of the universe. You have made the world for us to live in. Grant us light to know the needs of our community and strength to make wise decisions for the benefit of all. Do not let self-interest or greed influence us, for you have chosen us to serve your people. We ask your blessing on our armed forces members, especially those now in harm's way. We ask this in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, mic check. Can everybody hear that? All right, we're ready to go. First thing, order of business today is the minutes from the previous meeting. I have a motion by Hamilton, a second by LaFontaine to approve. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. We have no excusals today. We have no resignations today. We do have a couple appointments today. Joe Zalewski to the ADRC Central Wisconsin Board of Directors, and Dennis Martins to the McMillan Memorial Library Board of Trustees. And I have a motion by Supervisor Clendenning and a second by Supervisor Lightman was next. Any discussion on those? Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that motion carries. I'm getting a little bit of ringing up here. Are you getting that down there? A little too loud? All right. Public comment. Do we have any public comment today? Please come forward to a microphone. Identify yourself, and then we allow 3 minutes of public comment.
Hello, I'm Catherine. I'm the library director at McMillan Memorial Library here in Rapids. First of all, I just want to thank you for confirming our third new Wood County board member to the library board, so that feels really wonderful. I'm here first as a representative of all your Wood County libraries. There's 6 total, and just wanted to thank you again for reimbursing our county rate at 100%. This is a huge deal for our libraries, which range from pretty big like myself to pretty teeny like Pittsville, but we all really appreciate and desperately need that funding. Every year, the libraries are required by the state statute to get an annual report to the Department of Public Instruction. Last night, I emailed you all our annual report. And I know probably everybody isn't as excited about like a 13-page document about library data. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them. But I also made kind of like a handy dandy cheat sheet of the McMillan statistics from last year. Last year we had over 120K visitors at the McMillan Library. That's over 340 people every single day. We have over 13,000 library card members. A little more than half, like 6,500, is from the city of Rapids. Everybody else is from surrounding Wood County areas. We had over 300,000 uses of our Wi-Fi. A lot of people, if you're driving by at night and the library's closed, you'll see people sitting in our parking lot, because that's one of the services we think as public libraries it's so important to provide, free access to internet. There aren't a lot of places that you can go and just exist in the world these days without spending money, but we're really proud that you can exist and be part of the community at the public library without spending a dime. If anybody has any questions about this, I'd love to talk about it. You have my contact information. I'll be here after the meeting. But yes, I just wanted to thank you again for being such great supporters of your Wood County Libraries.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? I guess this really doesn't fall under public comment necessarily, but certainly want to congratulate the Columbus boys basketball team on their state championship. Really proud when we have a team from Wood County come home with the gold ball. That was an incredible effort. And the other thing I want to mention is Supervisor Bucky brought a couple guests today, but we have a young man in the back working on his master's in public administration. One of the requirements is to come to a meeting. And I promised him I would keep this, or many meetings, maybe I told him I'd keep this really short. So he gets the requirement handled, but we're not here all day. So thank you very much for your attendance as well, much appreciated. All right, we will move forward in the packet today. Page 6 of your packet is referrals for March, and there are none. As we move forward, page 9, 10, and 11, minutes of the Operations Committee, their meeting of March 12th. We move forward, page 12 and 13, monthly letter of comments from the county clerk. Trent, do you want to make any comments with your upcoming election here, or you all?
No.
Good? Okay.
We're good. Here, no legal heads don't need to hear from me.
Monthly letter of comments from Human Resources on pages 14 through 19. Pages 14 to 19. Monthly comments from the Treasurer's Office on 20. Employee Wellness on 21. And then that brings us to the first resolution in our packet. This is to establish the rate of pay for our county clerk, register of deeds, and treasurer. I'd ask the clerk to please read the resolution.
This will be resolution 24-3-1 to establish the rate of pay for the county clerk, register of deeds, and treasurer for the next terms of office beginning January 2025. Fiscal note unknown. The rates of pay for these elected officials shall be tied to changes made for non-elected department heads. The estimated compensation for these officials totals $114,475.25.
I have a motion by Supervisor Wagner, a second by Supervisor Bry. Is there discussion? Supervisor Bucky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to amend the motion to go to option 4 for all 4 years.
Do I have a second to that amendment? Do I have a second to the amendment? Supervisor Winch, you want to second the amendment?
Yeah. Move report.
He doesn't understand.
All right. So I have a motion to amend to option 4. Now, I'm guessing that most of you in this room have no idea what option 4 is. Would that be a fair assessment? Kim, would you like to explain? We were provided 4 options at the Operations Committee that basically ranged. Number 1 was the lowest level of increase in compensation. 4 was the highest level of compensation. The committee agreed on a blended rate of 2 and 4, which was kind of a compromise between the two. Kim?
So option 4 was to increase the rate of pay for these 3 elected officials to grade 12, step 11 at 2080 hours.
So I wish I had the net differences in mind. I don't. I didn't expect that. So I don't have those in front of me. But like I said, it ranged from 1 to 4, 4 being the highest. The current resolution before you was a blend between 2 and 4, which brought it to the rate of 4 in the last 2 years and had a rate in between during the first 2 years of that contract. Supervisor Clendenning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to see this rate because they hadn't had a raise since 2015. And I remember being on the executive committee when this came through, and now with this county board chair and with a previous chair, in which a meeting was ignored to have this because it had to be in by April 1st. And that person chose not to have a meeting because he just chose he didn't want to have one, let me put it that way. And I think they deserve this, and I'm voting yes for it. Thank you.
On the amendment you're talking, Supervisor
Yes.
Clemente. All right, is there further discussion on the amendment? Further discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none, I'd ask you to please vote on the amendment. If you vote for it, you're voting to go to the for, the other's the blended rate that came out of the committee.
Supervisor Holcamp.
And that amendment passed 13-6. The amendment passed 13-6. So we go back to the resolution as amended. The resolution as amended. Is there any discussion on that? Any discussion on the resolution as amended? See no discussion. Back to the board. All right, all in favor of that resolution as amended, please vote.
And against two.
That resolution passes 15-4. 15-4. Thank you. All right, we'll move forward in the packet. We have 5 resolutions that deal with budget amendments. Is there any objection to taking those 5 resolutions together? Any objection to taking the 5 together? All right, Trent.
This will be resolution 24-3-2 to amend the 2024 CVSO grants budget to include unspent funds for projects that will be using unspent grant funds. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unspent funds from the 2023 CVSO grants budget. The monies will be expended in 2024. The adjustment to the budget totals $3,788. Resolution 24-3-3 to amend the 2023 budget for clerk of courts for the purpose of funding higher than anticipated expenditures. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unanticipated revenues from the clerk of courts state aid. The adjustment to the budget totals $2,445. Resolution 24-3-4 to amend the 2023 budget of various highway functions listed below for additional expenditures of $1,451,416 not anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. The source of the funding are transfers available and not anticipated to be spent under the highway functions and available from Highway Capital Projects Fund balance. The adjustment to the budget totals $1,451,416. Resolution 24-3-5 to amend the 2023 Parks and Forestry admin budget for additional expenditures that were not anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unanticipated revenues from forestry revenue account. The adjustment to the budget totals $127,000. Resolution 24-3-6 to amend the 2024 Parks and Forestry Capital Projects budget to include the 2023 unspent funds for projects that will be using America Rescue Plan Act funding. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unspent funds from previously approved ARPA funds. The adjustment to the budget totals $930,177.
We have a motion on these resolutions by Supervisor Hamilton, a second by Supervisor Bride. Is there any discussion on the resolutions? Supervisor LaFontaine.
On that last resolution that was signed by Dennis LaFontaine, that name needs to be changed.
We will make the correction. You
The
haven't
clerk
changed
already told you that, Mr. LaFontaine. 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
We will change that.
We will note that. All right, I have a motion, a second. Do I have any discussion? Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please vote.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Those resolutions passed 19-0. 19-0. All right, moving forward to the packet, Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services Committee meeting on Thursday, February 22nd, 29, 30, and 31. Minutes of the Edgewater Haven Donation Ad Hoc Committee on 32. The Human Services Department report from February beginning on 33, and that runs all the way to page 40. 33 to 40. We have the Veteran Service Officers Report on 41 and 42. We have the Public Safety Committee from March 11th on 43 and 44. We have the monthly update from the Sheriff's Department. It begins on page 45 and it runs through page 68. 45 through 68. If you guys keep adding more pages, I'm gonna have to get a bigger stapler because it just about doesn't make it through that one. Moving on, pages 72 through 80, 72 through 80 are various reports from the Golden Sand Resources Conservation Development Council, beginning with their finance meeting on January 18th, and that's 72 through 80. We have the update from Extension on pages 81 through 85, and they're going to do a report to the full county board in a couple of months, 81 through 85. You have the update from Land and Water Conservation Department, beginning on 86, and that runs through page 91. 86 to 91. The Citizens Water Group, their minutes from February 19th on page 92. They had a large event last night. Sure, compliment. Certainly, a number of people were involved. A lot of people were involved. Supervisor Lightnum and Supervisor Glendenning for putting this together. I think it was well attended. It was a good event. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Page 92, and then we go to page 93, and that's the update from the Planning and Zoning Office, beginning with Director Grunenberg. That's 93, 94, and 95. And then that brings us to the resolution on page 96.
This will be resolution 24-3-7. Authorization to apply for a WEDEC CDI grant for the former Vesper Elementary School located in Vesper. The fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. Stemperosa Estates LLC, owner of the former Vesper Elementary School, will receive up to $250,000 in WEDEC CDI grant funding.
A motion by Glendenning, a second by Lightnum. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All right, ask you to please go to the board and vote. Thanks, John. Again, that resolution passes 19-0, 19-0. Moving on to the Judicial and Legislative Committee meeting of February 29th on 97, 98, and 99. The Child Support Agency's monthly report on page 100. Our Clerk of Courts monthly update 101. Court Counsel 102. Register and Probate 103. The Register of Deeds monthly update on 104. And one from Victim Witness Services report on 105. And that brings us to a resolution on page 106 brought forth by the Judicial and Legislative.
This will be resolution 24-3-8. To increase the hours of the part-time legal administrative assistant in the court counsel's office from 4 to 5.5 hours per day. Fiscal note, the annual wage and benefit implication to the increase in hours totals $12,783. There is currently $5,613.71 in the budget for overtime for this position, $5,000 of which will be allocated to this expense. The deficiency would come from the contingency account, transferring of $7,783 from available balance in contingency. At the time of this request, the current balance in the 2024 contingency account is $600,000. The adjustment to the budget totals $7,783.
So getting ready to have their hands up, a motion by Glendenning, a second by Lightnum. Any discussion? Any discussion? Again, I'd ask you to please vote. Thanks, John. Again, that resolution passed 19-0, 19-0. All right, as we're moving forward, we have the minutes of the Highway Infrastructure Recreation Committee. Their meeting from March 7th, beginning on 107, and it runs through 110, 107 to 110. We have reports from the Highway Commissioner in that office beginning on 111, and it runs through 118, 111 through 118. We have the update from the Park and Forestry Department beginning on 119, and that runs through 122, 119 through 122. Next in your packet, beginning on page 123, it runs through page 126. We have 4 resolutions. These are all pass-through funding. They're resolutions we do every year. Is there any objection to taking those 4 resolutions together? All right, we have no objection. It has to go to the resolution.
This will be resolution 24-3-9. to become eligible for snowmobile trail maintenance monies on the existing trails on the county and private lands for the 2024-2025 snowmobile year. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County, total reimbursement from the state snowmobile aid account. Resolution 24-3-10, to become eligible for maintenance monies on the existing Wood County ATV intensive use area, the Kimball and Hazelnut Connector Trail, and the Hay Creek Peterson Road Connector Trail. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County, total reimbursement from the state aid registration fund and from the ATV intensive use area, donated services by the Central Wisconsin ATV Riders Club. Resolution 24-3-11, to become eligible for 2024 snowmobile trail maintenance monies for the proposed additional 13.64 miles of snowmobile trail for the Rudolph River Rovers, say that for me, it's Rudolph River Rovers Snowmobile Club. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County, total reimbursement from the state snowmobile trail aid account. Resolution 24-3-12, to become eligible for project development grant funding from the state of Wisconsin DNR ATV Trail Aid Program for the following project: Highway 54 to Range Road Trail. Total cost is $72,074. Fiscal note, if awarded from the state of Wisconsin DNR, there would be no cost to Wood County. Total reimbursement from the state ATV aid account.
I believe I saw Mr. Bucky. Did you hear? Not to me, as a motion to approve these four and a second by Supervisor Hamilton. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? I ask you to please vote. Thank you, John. Again, that resolution passed 18-1. 18-1.
Mr. Wynn, you meant to push the green button.
He said he meant to push the green button.
There's one last attempt to see if the red one works. But anyway, minutes of the property.
Did you need to vote yes?
He meant to vote yes.
What do you say?
He meant to vote yes, Mr.
Got it.
Chairman.
I got it.
We were there as such.
Okay.
It's habit. All right, go to the Property Information Technology Committee. They're meeting from March 4th on 127 and 128. We have updates from the IT department beginning on 129 through 133, 129 through 133. I'll make a real quick comment there. I just got back from Nashville. We got one of the insurance conferences down there, and I've talked about it before, but the biggest threat that we probably have financially as a county is cybersecurity. And some of the stuff that they talked about down there is just plain scary. So when you see some of those expenses related to cybersecurity in our IT department, those are extremely necessary because we've seen some ransoms that are, 8-9 figures long. So be patient and get all the information you need before you would be against some of the cybersecurity measures that you're taking. Again, that's 129 through 133. Moving forward, monthly letter of comments from our facilities manager on 134. Central Wisconsin State Fair Board of Directors on 135. The Junior Fair Board minutes, 136, 7, and 8. And then the South Central Library System Board of Trustees, 139 through 141. And then that wraps up our packet today. I guess I just want to make a comment. This is the last time in this exact configuration that this board is going to be seated here. We have a couple of supervisors who elected non-candidacy who aren't going to be returning, and I want to thank Supervisor Wynch, who I've had the privilege to work with for many, many years. Bill, I want to thank you for your very long and dedicated service to the board. And the other one is Adam Fisher. Adam is not only chair of our Human Services Committee most recently, but sat on our Operations Committee. Adam, I want to thank you for your service to Wood County, the citizens, and the board. The other thing I wanted to mention is this board, and Ed Wagner, yeah, well.
We're gonna honor him.
I was getting there, but since you brought it up.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
And then Ed Wagner, who's chaired our operations committee and I was going to leave this a little different with the accomplishments of this board the past 2 years. I think if you look back for many, many years, and we've been here a lot of those, this board has probably accomplished more than almost any other board that I've been associated with in this county. Some of the projects that are moving forward, some of the things that we've done it in a cooperative and a cohesive manner most of the time. We might disagree on some issues, At the end of the day, we get things done. And a lot of that is a result of the work that Supervisor Wagner has done as the chair of the operations committee for a number of years. So I want to sincerely thank you for your service as well. Yeah, you guys can stand and give all the ovation. That's fine.
I'm the only one.
Okay, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Supervisor Bud.
I even applauded for you.
Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to all the people that are leaving us, but I gotta really thank my buddy here. I served a lot of years on the common council with Ed. Early years, we growled at each other from across the way, and we came together, like you said, Lance, we didn't always agree, but I've never seen a person more prepared for meetings than Ed Wagner. He was a true professional on there, and I will miss him. Thank you, Ed.
He's a pretty humble guy, I know it goes without saying, but like I said, this has been a really true pleasure working with this particular board over time. And I had the opportunity to attend county board meetings across the state in one of my other roles, and I can tell you, we get more done in less time than most of them get done when they spend 4 or 5 hours in a meeting. So again, thank you to those who are leaving us, who have served. Thank you to all of you who have served the past term. It's been an incredible journey. So does anybody else have anything that needs to come before this board? Trent might want to mention a couple things. We've got an election coming up, and then reorganization. Trent?
Yeah, so for those outgoing supervisors, please come back next month, and you might get your standing ovation then, because we'll have your commendation plaques that we'll give you at that time. The next board meeting will be in this room, and I'll be chairing the first part of it like we did. It's per County Board Rule 35. So Lance and Laura will be back in the bowels of the county boardroom there.
Bowels?
Where's the bowels, guys?
Bowels?
I was gonna say the chief seats or the nosebleed seats, but I thought, no, I'll make it nicer than that. They will be sitting back there with you, and then we'll get the meeting started, and we'll elect the officers and go from there. Election, April 2nd, please vote. We ordered plenty of ballots, so I'd like to see them used. Only vote once, so just a heads up on that. That's all I got.
You know, you mentioned that some of my fondest memories, actually, I used to sit in the very, very back seat on the left side, and I happened to sit right across the aisle from our esteemed corp counsel, Peter Kastenholz. And every now and then Peter would kick me and say, you gotta tell him this. And I had a lot of people on the board that thought I was a lot smarter than I was, because Peter kept telling me to say. But it worked out really well, and I appreciate the knowledge that he instilled in me. Supervisor Rozar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So talking about years ago, I was sad to see the obituary for Ken Josephson come across our desk, and I know that we'll honor him in the future, but he was somebody that, served, 16 years, I think, on the county board, and he was on when I got first elected, and I didn't realize that he wasn't living in Marshfield anymore, that he was up in Green Bay when I read the obituary, but I'm sure that the family would appreciate our thoughts and prayers as they prepare to lay him to rest. So, yeah.
And we will get that resolution out, absolutely. So I want to thank those, and I'd recommend anybody else, if you've been an experienced member of the board, I'll get right to you. As we have new members come on, be a mentor. Supervisor Wagner.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to mention that I have a great deal of respect for Ken Josephson. He was very much responsible for me being on the board. At one point, he discovered that, well, he said he was 80 years old and he was not going to run again. And he came down and tried to recruit me. And I said, no, I'm in law school. I got all this stuff going. I can't do it. And he said, well, will you help me find somebody? So he and I worked together, and we went door to door. There was I think we made 7 stops, and nobody wanted to serve. And I apologized to him, and there wasn't much we could do. The day after the election, we found out that I was the highest write-in vote getter. And Cindy Seacrest called me up and asked me if I would serve. And I said, well, what will happen if I don't? He says, well, I'll have to go to the second, but I don't think he wants to be there either. And I said, who is it? He says, it's Donald Duck. So I had 5 votes, and I became the supervisor for the 4th district. And I've been here and I've been telling everybody here today, this place is a little bit like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. And the experiences here will always be with me. But thank you very much.
Hey, Heather, can I tell the story? Okay. So Kenny Joseph.
We're trying to get to half an hour,
I wanna get to a
so we
half
get
hour,
credit for
so
attending
yeah.
a public meeting.
So I was chair of the Park and Forestry Committee when Kenny Josephson and Don Melville were on that committee. And talk about grumpy old men, those two were it. One was Jack Lemmon, one was Walter Manthal. Well, I won't say I ran a terribly boring meeting, but Kenny kind of dozed off during part of the meeting. And Heather was our minute taker. She was the office manager in Parks and Forestry. And Heather had just told us not all that many months ago that she had just been through a divorce, and she says, I will never marry ever again. And she told that rather emphatically to the committee. Well, Kenny Joseph, he's sitting next to Heather. Heather's taking minutes, and he's kind of nodding off a little bit. And all of a sudden, Kenny jerks awake. He looks over at Heather and looks at her hand and goes, what the hell is that on your finger? And here Heather had gotten engaged. It was that shiny ring that suddenly woke Kenny up. And what's that on your finger? You told us. It was just a great memory of Kenny Josephson and Don Melville. And the golfing outings with Lance and Kenny are well known in the County Forest Association, probably yet to this day.
Yeah, they disqualified us for participation because they said we weren't foresters, we were county board supervisors, who have way too much time to golf and we win the tournament every year. So they disqualified us. But and I'll leave you with one last Ken story. Again, it goes back to Park and Forestry. We're up in Powers Bluff, and like I said, I've been here, I don't know, about 28 years, and I was on the committee, and at the time Ron Arndt said we're going to go down to the bottom of the hill at Powers Bluff, we're going to look at something that's happening with one of the tulips down there, and the other 4 members of the committee said, Lance is going to go down there with you. The rest of us will stay up here at the picnic table. He'll fill us in when he gets back. So I'm probably at that point now where I'd send a Jay Con down or somebody to come back. So with that said, we'll honor these people at the next meeting. Obviously, those who are leaving us as well. Is there anything else to come before the board? Anything else? Nothing else and no objection. I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.